And we're off.
All right, so both making their way through Ceres Station, trying to get to Ridley. Again,
I mean, you say that, but I think it's more appropriate to say they're going to the baby Metroid, and Ridley just happens to be sitting there all non-corporeal-like.
No, I think that Samus in this situation is a hostage negotiator, and they want to get to Ridley so that they can talk him down from taking the baby Metroid. Clearly, as we know, it does not work, but that's how I like to view it.
I mean, you tell me, if you were going to hire somebody to negotiate in a hostage situation, would you choose a bounty hunter with a piece of armor developed by bird people that can shoot people?
No, I would hire Dog, but that's neither here nor there. So as both of them try to go to the escape through Ceres Station here, it is worth noting that both of these runners will be extremely close in the beginning stages here, or that would be my guess, as is with most cases in these runs.
Getting a little bit of trolled by Steam on both sides here, but making their way through.
All right.
Very, very nice 45.76 from Elminster, and a very respectable 43.40 there from Meta.
As always, the Steam might have trolled him, but Samus gets the last laugh as Ceres is now gone.
It's funny because you talk about Samus as a hostage negotiator. It's very telling that each place Samus visits usually ends up either on fire or exploding.
No, I didn't say she was a good hostage negotiator. I just said that she had a job. It's kind of like being a meteorologist. You can be wrong 90% of the time and still have a job. I guess that's what happened in space. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. Both of them making their way down through the parlor right now. It'll be interesting to see how they choose to descend in the climb. Neither of them opting to use Moonfall.
Moonfall does save 7 seconds over the course of a run, maybe more if you can do some quick setups on some minor frame savers, but generally speaking, 7 seconds is the number we look at, because the others, like, if you add them all together, you get another second, maybe two.
So for those that can't do basic math, it actually doesn't matter.
If you can't do basic math, would it be inappropriate for me to ask you what's your vector, Victor?
Yes. Okay, so both going down to alpha missiles right now. It's still extremely close. Like I said, it's going to be that way. There might be some slight areas where they start getting away from each other, probably after Bomb Chorizo, depending on if anyone misses Alcatraz or anything like that. But both runners still performing as expected.
So we've discussed this before, but it's going to be interesting to see how these two approach the climb. Two fundamental ways to do it. You've got the traditional wall jump climb and the ledge grab climb, also known as the behemoth climb. Looks like Elminster's opting to do the traditional wall jump climb here. It is slightly faster.
If used optimally, as we can see. Yeah, as we can see, both of them are kind of side by side using... Oh, there we go. A little slip up by Meddadog, but yes, both of them using different strategies here. Done optimally, wall climb is faster by, what, 2 seconds?
Oh no, by frames. It is less than a
Ah,
second.
2 frames. Well then. So it comes down to consistency. I apologize. So it comes down to consistency. Whatever you want to do, it's runner's choice. But the biggest thing in this run, in this game, is always consistency. So whatever the runner feels like they can do more times than not is more important than anything there. So Elminster having some trouble with those jumps, Meddadog as well, but both of them getting out and both of them ending the Bomb Chorizo room. Hopefully they don't get hopefully they don't have problems with RNG here.
Yeah, Meta not having full health coming into the Bomb Chorizo fight is really bad because you need to pick up in an ideal fight. You want to shoot 5 shots and pick up a total of 7 missiles to take out Bomb Chorizo. Not having full health means he could get trolled, not get any.
Elminster with a very, very fast and clean fight there, and Meta having just a little bit of trouble, but he's going to be okay. Good drops there. Elminster on his way out, going to Alcatraz escape here.
Then actually got some really good RNG considering he wasn't at full health for any part of that fight.
There we go, both getting first try Alcatraz escape. Again, one of those things that's just sometimes inexplicably just vanishes from your muscle memory, but both runners okay with it. Another interesting thing to watch is as people come through these space pirate room is to see whether they actually just try to body through them or they actually try and shoot, because it seems to be a little more to the side where people don't actually shoot, but it always seems to be different.
Well, and really the strategy is one dependent on your ammo situation leaving Bomb Chorizo, because if you still need missiles, that's a decent place to get them without having to sit there and just unload shots into the Kago in the next room. And then if they have full ammo going in, then it can be indicative of what route they're going, because generally new route runners want to conserve their health because they're going straight to the wrecked ship. Once they get to Red Tower, the only E-tank they get before Fantune is the Terminator E-tank, so they want to maintain as much health as they can to make that run through wrecked ship not as deadly. But since both of them decided to body through, both of them were good on ammo, it's definitely indicative of old route, which is not surprising because I believe we already looked at their PBs and they were both old route PBs.
Yes. All right, Elminster making his way to charge, starting to pull away just a little bit, but it's still extremely close. Meta staying pretty close there. Again, we're probably not going to see too much variation until we get to Kraid, which, as we know from any of the races that anyone's seen here, it could go good or it could go bad. You miss that quick kill and the time starts adding up. So.
Elminster making his way across the aptly named Noob Bridge, because if you don't know there's a run button in this game, you cannot get past that bridge.
Elminster with some good D-boosts there. He's making his way over to Kraid's lair. Gets caught up a little bit, but Meta not too far behind at all.
Elminster having some issue there in the room below Spazer. Managed to avoid getting caught by the yapping maw. That's always annoying when it happens, but he managed to get past without that happening, so sitting in a good position.
Both runners opting not to pick up the best beam in the game. Sephi must be extremely upset with that.
Roger, roger.
Oh, Meta with a clear jump into Kraid. That was some quality, crisp action right there. Elminster starting to go into mini Kraid here. Takes one hit, but he's okay. Meta, let's see if he gets this little warp pipe. Just misses it. That's okay. Elminster about to head into Kraid. Let's see what happens here, if he gets that quick kill or not. He's got missiles selected right now, so it appears that he's going to go for the 2-missile 3 super as opposed to the easier charge 4.
The 2-missile 3 super is faster by just a little bit, but the charge 4 super is a little bit safer because you don't have to worry about his hand. The charge shot locks his hand into place, and you don't have to worry about it at all.
Oh, Meta just slightly too early there. Elminster's going to start pulling away just a little bit, but still extremely close here. He should be able to mop up Kraid relatively quickly here. There he is. So like I said, Kraid is usually the point in the run where it starts to show where these runners can pull apart here.
Meta getting health bombed by Kraid, that's going to be really rough coming out of the warehouse, not having any sabers and barely any missiles.
Yeah, he's going to have to use 2 on mini Kraid, right?
Yeah, so you can you have to do 200 damage to mini Kraid. There are a couple ways you can do that. You can fire off a bunch of regular shots. You can shoot 2 missiles. You can do, I believe, a pseudo screw. Looks like he's resetting the room to have full supers here.
Or is he going to farm a little bit too? He looks like he's going to farm. There he goes.
See, that health bomb did cost Meta a little bit of time there. He was trying to get the ammo he needed to get out of here.
So we talked about that too. Coming out of that room, if you jump through that door transition, usually you don't have to worry about those enemies coming down on you. If you don't, you're still able to get through, but you kind of have to morph ball through. If you don't do that, they can be a pain in trying to get up through there. Meta trying to make up that time, usually electing to pick up that energy tank, but does not at this point, trying to close the gap between Elminster here.
And it's worth noting that Elminster, although he did just pick up the best item in the game before those missiles, he did elect to pick up the Kraid E-Tank for the extra safety. It is a little bit slower, but in a race setting, it's definitely worth picking up to make your time in Wreck Ship and Meridia a lot easier.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Meta approaches the rest of this run here. I know he usually has the safety of that. I don't know if he's been practicing not using that, but we're hoping that that doesn't come back. I know he's probably watching the race as it goes on and knows he needs the save time. That's an easy time save right there. So
it might be a combination of that, and also looking at their respective PBs and thinking that he's got to take some gambles to get through the rest of the run to have a fighting chance. Really, in a race setting, anything can happen. So generally, I would recommend runners focus on their run and not worry too much about that. But it is entirely up to the discretion of the individual runner. And if he's comfortable going with only 3 tanks, then more power to him. It's a gamble and it's a little bit less safe, but it's definitely doable.
Well, it's like the lotto. You got to be in it to win it. Elminster at the speed boost already, coming out as Meta approaches Bubble Mountain and the first true boss of the game.
I'm not quite sure what happened there with Elminster. He stopped running in the middle of the speed tutorial room there. I don't know if that was intentional or accidental.
All right, Meta choosing to do some pre-farming there on his way down to speed boost as Elminster makes his way over into wave. So still relatively close together, to be quite honest. I know Meta's behind, but as we all know, both of them are going to be on their way to Fantoon relatively shortly, and Fantoon has a tendency to troll on racers pretty hard, so that could be the swing that Meddadog needs, assuming things go his way, not Elminster's.
Yeah, I think Meta's looking for just about anything that can put the shoe on the other hand.
Yeah, that safety lava strat certainly helped there. Elminster making his way out of North Air here just about. We'll see if he goes for Alpha Spark coming out here as Meta makes his way towards Wave.
I'm curious to see if Meddadog chooses to go for Alpha Spark. I don't know if he has a lot of practice with the running 3 tanks instead of 4, but generally when you have 2 tanks, you don't want to use Alpha Spark just so that, again, so your health is in a good spot when you get up to wreck ship. When you have 3 tanks in full health like Elminster does, you can do it to get the time save without having to worry too much about your health. But Meta, since he opted to skip the Kraid tank, is not going to have the same option here.
Yeah, I know he definitely has practice with that Alpha Spark, but I don't know if he has practice with the with trying to 2-tank it here. So I would be surprised if he actually goes for that strat here, but anything's possible, I guess. Elminster making his way up into Red Tower, or making his way up Red Tower, I should say. We'll see if he gets lucky here with a hero shot, and he does. Very clean coming out of there. As Meta is on the tail end of making his way out of North Air.
So coming up to Fantoon to run some numbers that for those who are a little bit less familiar with this game, Fantoon is the biggest source of RNG in the earliest part of this game. It's very, very possible to lose or gain a significant amount of time on this fight. He generally is killed in 2 rounds, and each round has 3 patterns. The first pattern is 1 second after he starts moving. The mid pattern is 6 seconds, and the slow pattern is 12 seconds. So if one runner were to get a fast and the other were to get a slow, for example, you'd be looking at a 22-second better Fantoon fight for the runner who gets a fast, which is a very technical way of saying anything can happen. None of these leads are entirely concrete at this moment because Fantoon, 1, is a jerk, and 2, can throw out weird patterns.
Elminster going for that ocean fly strat there, just barely missing it, firing that missile a little too soon as Meddadog works his way down to get the power bombs. Elminster heading into wrecked ship.
It'd be interesting to see which strategy our runners use for Fantoon. I'm not familiar enough with Elminster's runs to say for sure if he's going to doppel or go for X Factor strats. I believe Meta usually does a hybrid strat, if I remember correctly, where he does a X Factor first round and then 4 missiles and a stupor in the second round.
I think he might start gravitating towards that. I know he was trying to do 2 X Factors. Elminster, I have a feeling, well, he's going to try and go for the first one here, as it looks like that's what's selected. As he hits the first one, I don't know if he's going to... It looks like he might go for 2. Meddadog might be in the same boat, to be quite honest, but he does at least go for 1. Okay, so Elminster not getting that fast, but... getting the 2x. Oh, okay, he does.
All I know is now is the perfect time to break into song and say, "Who you gonna call? Elminster." Sorry, no funny jokes here, guys.
I don't have his phone number, so I can't call him. I don't get it.
Ghostbusters? Come on, PGA.
I get it. I just wanted you to explain it to everyone else because it was that lame. Okay, so Meddadog going down into the wreck ship. These guys are going to high five in just a second here, probably as Elminster goes into the last super missile that you pick up in any percent. Meddadog could make up some time here if he gets a double X factor on a fast. He kind of needs that as he farms a little bit. I feel like he's a little uncomfortable with those 2 energy tanks. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes about this fight because I know he doesn't have a lot of experience with this, but anything can happen.
When you're running the X Factor strats, generally you want to have more than 80 health, generally over 100 to be extra safe. But if you do the X Factor strats, you generally will hit the flames, or if not, you can pseudo screw through the flames to avoid that first hit. But you'll generally take a hit from Phantoon, if not 2, setting up for the actual X Factor position, because the particles actually collapse on you, so you have to get bodied by Phantoon. So if you have 80 energy, that with Varia you can take 4 hits before you die. So him farming up to 160 there did give him a little bit of an extra safety.
So Meddadog with that hybrid strat, able to do that. He got his first full X Factor and then dispatches with that super towards the end of his missile attack. Elminster was able to get that Attic Spark coming out of Wreck Ship as he makes his way into Bowling Alley Room. Meddadog, I don't believe he does usually try to go for that Attic Spark, but with the energy situation that he has right now, I'm not sure if that's going to be a viable option for him or if he's going to try and do that.
It looks like he's doing some things to set up so that it's a little safer. He killed that atomic there to get a big energy drop, and there's going to be another atomic on the way up the main shaft here that he can knock out to get some more energy, not to mention drops in the attic itself. So his health is in a pretty good position. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going for the attic spark.
Elminster making his way down to the gravity suit. We're going to see what happens with Meddadog here in just a second. Again, still, both runners are relatively close, to be quite honest. Elminster is pulling away just a little bit, but Meta is certainly keeping it close. He is not out of it by any means whatsoever. It does look like he's trying to go for that Attic Spark. And gets it. Good. Coming out of Wreck Ship, Elminster making his way back over. Missing the jump there, but opting not to get those safety missiles. He does not need to grab those.
At the level these 2 runners are at, I would generally assume if they pick up moat missiles, it is a mistake.
Yes.
Or at least not intentional.
So what's we've talked about this before, the minimum amount of missiles that you should, like the very minimal, if you were doing like a new route or something like that, is what, 15 missiles, 10 supers?
Correct. So the minimum required to beat the game is 10 and 10, but if you go 15 and 10, you don't have to go use the missile refill in order to have the ammo to beat Mother Brain. And because of that, it's faster to pick up a 3rd missile pack than it is to actually go in with just 10 and 10.
Right.
So for any percent, runners will pick up 10 and 10 so that they can get through Turian. Generally, in old route, runners will pick up 20 and 10 just because skipping one of the missiles is not really necessary. Generally, the missiles that are skipped are the ones right before high jump boots. But that's because new route runners have a power bomb to get up more easily and take care of that Sova on the way up. Meddadog getting the much coveted gravity skip there, but not opening the door, making that a little bit safer for him.
So we'll see if he can make it over those Molt missiles and not pick them up by accident as Elminster. Yes, he does go over him. Elminster making his way over to Mount Everest as he climbs it. His power bombs look good. He should be fine for getting to Batwa. Meta making his way down back towards Red Tower.
You know, I'd honestly like to know who named the rooms in this game, because some of them have really interesting names. Some of them have really funny names. And I'm pretty sure that none of that was provided by Deer Force. I feel like that's all from the speedrunning community, and I don't know who or when.
Yeah, I can't answer that. Meta making his way over to Red Tower. I have a feeling it's probably going to be the earlier, more prominent runners. I don't know who they are exactly because I'm fresh to this community as well, but it's got to be the people that we're trying to speedrun this in the early. That's usually how that works. Elminster getting a little bit trolled by Botswoon here, but he picks up the pace just a little bit, killing him as he continues through Meridia over to Dragon. Meta making his way to the Meridia tube. What is
just showing off that if you leave the room before the music changes, Botswoon's flag to die doesn't actually initiate, so he can't go back that way now.
Okay.
In this route, you don't need to, but he was just showing that off for the audience.
Okay, I was like, I've never seen that before. What's going on? But you know what? That explains it. So,
let this be a lesson, kids. If you need to go back through that room, make sure you wait until the music changes.
It could quite honestly be a lesson in this race. If he messes up and Meddadog catches him, that's just time that he wasted there. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to showboat for the audience. That's what they're here for, right? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Meddadog having at least one power bomb for that X Factor for Botswoon. He's looking okay as Elminster makes his way down to Dragon. Right, so both fighting a boss at this point. Meta fighting the mini boss here. Getting that X Factor, but getting a trolley pattern here, not able to put in what he needs to. Should be able to finish up right here as he does. That was a pretty clean fight from him. Still staying strong, close to Elminster. Elminster, if he gets a poor Dragon fight here, may lose some time that Meta can pick up, especially if he can hit that halfie coming through.
Mister's having a little bit of trouble getting the short charges there. Caused him to miss the first spark on Dragon, but looks like he's picking it back up here. And, ooh, there's a goop spark as he's getting trolled with a lot of swoop patterns from Dragon.
Yes, he's having a little bit of trouble here. Meddadog losing the spark here. He's not going to go for any sort of halfie because he is unable to as he makes his way the old-fashioned route over to Dragon. Elminster having some trouble here. If Meta has a great Dragon fight, he's right back into it, and that is not to say that he is out of it at any point. There it is. Elminster taking down Dragon. Not getting blue suit there, though.
Well, and considering his health, that may have been the best decision because chain damage can end a run right there. So very possible that that was intentional, considering how much health he had lost in the earlier part of the fight. Speaking of health, looks like Meta got trolled by some mock Troids on the way across the Coliseum. His health is a bit lower than I imagine he wants it to be right now. Curious to see if he takes Dragon a little bit more safe this time around.
Does not look like he's trying to X Factor to start off with either, so he's going to have to watch out for that chain damage as well. He might not even be able to get to that point, as he might have to be a little more careful with his sparks here. Elminster coming out the old-fashioned way, coming across the Coliseum with just the space jump. As Meta continues his fight against Dragon. Another clean hit here. He should be pretty close. Trying to eliminate those goops with that power bomb. Does not get all of them. And he clears it. Does not have blue suit either, but that was a faster fight than Elminster there. He made up some time. This run is getting closer and closer.
You can rest assured, guys, this is not madness. This is Super Metroid.
Why can't it be both?
That's fair.
Meddadog making his way back out through the Coliseum again, going to have to do it the old-fashioned way with just the space jump, but with that fight, I believe he has drawn closer to Elminster. This run is extremely close, guys. This race is not over by any means. Elminster picking up that plasma beam in Plasma Park as he is about to exit it here.
I wonder if Plasma's a nice guy, or girl, as the case may be.
I mean, it's 2018, right? So either way.
I mean, just the park owner. Like, is Plasma a good, nice person?
What if Plasma's what if it's like a corporation that's on this planet? So towards the end, it really doesn't matter, right?
I just have curious thoughts sometimes. I'm sorry.
Elminster making his way downtown, walking fast, or sliding down that tomb, either way, as he makes his way over to Norfair as Meta goes up to Plasma Park. Elminster with really good movement across there. If you had to estimate how far ahead do you think Elminster is at this point?
It's difficult to say. They're really not as far apart as you would think.
Yeah, the audience should know that it's actually. I mean, it may seem like it, but it's relatively close. And going into Lower Norfair, anything is possible. I mean, I keep saying it, but this run is not over by any means. These guys, and it is should be reminded that Meddadog does not have a lot of experience. He skipped that energy tank at Kraid in order to try and make up some time in the early stages here, so he doesn't have a lot of experience running that 3 energy tank full run, so I don't know if that's going to come back either, but I'm hoping it's not. So Meddadog trying to close the gap with Elminster as he picks up that ice beam. The runner's still relatively close in this race.
I would say they're roughly a minute apart right now. Based on their skill levels, getting to ice is plus or minus 2 minutes. Elminster getting to ice while Meta's already en route to ice from Plasma, I should say, is about 2 minutes. So considering his progress on his way to ice, I'd say they're just about a minute apart right now.
And do you have what's their split on their PBs?
So Elminster has a 46-40, and Meddadog has a 42-16, or 52-16 rather.
I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry, little slip there. But yeah, there's about 5 minutes between them, 4.5 minutes.
So the fact that they're maybe a minute here is pretty good indication of how good this race is.
I would say that's a fair assessment.
All right, Meta picking ice. I believe he's probably going to pick the southern route. Elminster, I didn't see. I think he picked the northern route.
Elm took north route.
So we've discussed that. Northern route is 2 seconds slower optimally?
Correct.
Again, we say optimally because anything can happen and strategies become, slower if not done the way they're supposed to be doing. So it's all objective.
Really, it just comes down to how thick of tech do they want to do. Elminster with a really swaggy space jump on his way through the pillar room there.
I think he heard us earlier. He's preparing for swag percent.
Yeah, right. Need to add that to swag percent.
That's going to be the next category tournament. It's going to be swag percent.
Basically, we just need to take a compilation of all the tricks Sephi has ever done, and that is swag percent.
Yeah. Elminster with amazing movement through Lower Norfair so far. Getting through those key hunters as he makes his way down closer to Ridley. Meddadog still needs to get to Lower Norfair.
Interesting that Elminster chose to do a bomb spread there in the key hunter room, or key hunter shaft. When you're going through Lower Norfair, you only need, once you get to that point, 2 power bombs. One to open the door and one to clear this statue in the wasteland. So the fact that he opts to do a bomb spread there when he doesn't need any more power bombs until he's making his way out of Ridley is surprising. A little mishap with the double KO there. It did get it,
yeah.
But put him in kind of an awkward position.
Apparently gets both ninjas there as he makes his way close to the Ridley. Meta going with the power bomb strats here. I don't know if he's got the shutter step in for lava spark there, but relatively consistent. Elminster with a good deboost there. I don't know if he's going to farm anything. It looks like he might just go right in. And he does. Elminster starting that Ridley fight as Meta continues to try to get through the worst room in the game.
See, and I find that, I was talking about the room names earlier. I find that a very interesting name. It's kind of subjective, don't you think? Because, I think the double chamber is the worst room in the game. Why does this one get to be called the worst room in the game?
Yeah, that's true. Elminster with good movement through this Ridley fight. He is directing him where he wants to do. That was a clean Ridley fight, already done. I don't expect him to pick up that Ridley E-Tank. And he does not, already on his way out. Meta just making his way into. See if we get this little skip here. He does. He's got one on Meta's side. These guys are about to high five right now through the door transition, and boom. We just had some Top Gun action in there. You guys didn't see it, but there was volleyball going on in that door transition. Elminster making his way starting up through. His energy is not the greatest, so he's going to have to be very careful in this key hunter shaft.
Fortunately, with Plasma Beam, that's not too concerning, because if Elminster's concerned about his health, or if the key hunters give a bad pattern, he can just kill him pretty quick with Plasma. Though with 77 energy, he can only afford to take 1 hit without having to worry about dying, as Meddadog's making his way into the Ridley fight. Opting to use supers, which is an interesting choice, given that he only has 10, and that you only need 20 plasma shots to kill if you don't use any supers.
So we had talked about this before too. Supers come into play in Ridley when you don't have plasma, correct?
Correct. So supers do double damage to Ridley. They do 600 instead of the original 300. Plasma Beam, charged Ice Wave Plasma, does 900. So it's generally it's better to just use Plasma, especially when you can conserve your supers for Turian at the end of the game. Basically everything you get after you get to Ridley, with the exception of one that you need for the Green Gate on the way up, and one that you need for the door on the way to G4, you can save specifically for Turian. Using supers on this fight reduces the count, but in New Route, you want to use the supers.
Oh, Meta's got to be careful. Oh, no. I don't believe he did any safety saves either.
He did not, but it looks like he's going to keep going, starting over right from the ship.
I think he was getting ready to get picked up, and it just was not there. The animation didn't happen. He got hit by the tail. Elminster making his way through the top of Norfair. He's going to start making his way up through Meridia and on his way to Golden Four, as Meta is not giving up. Again, to be quite honest, if he gives up, that is a time of 3 hours. So regardless of how far back he is, if he chooses to finish this race, it's probably more beneficial to him in the long run.
Yeah, if Meta ends up making it to the single elimination round by being in the top 2 of his round robin, then his average time will come into play, or his median time will come into play. And if he's got more than one forfeit, that's 2 3-hour times. Only one of them can be thrown out. So not entirely surprised that he's choosing to go here and complete the run with that knowledge in mind.
Yeah, I don't think he's that kind of person regardless, so he's going to start back from the beginning as Elminster makes his way through the top of Meridia. He's going to make his way up into up towards Samus's ship, and he's going to be ready for the end game here as Meddadog starts over. That it looks like that time save by not taking that crate E-tank kind of came back to bite him, but that's all right. He's going to continue.
Well, it's one of those things, you know. Sometimes you win with your gambles, sometimes you don't.
And that's another thing that we should...
You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Meddadog was going crazy, so... it's worth noting that that's what, you know, sometimes races change, you know, the strategies that you would normally run in a normal, you know, kind of PB setting. You know, people either take extra gambles because they're behind, or they'll do safety strats such as farming more or saving. We've seen in a lot of the stuff that we've called, we've seen a lot of safety saves from a couple of people, and sometimes they've been needed, sometimes not, but it does change the way you think, and it's hard to kind of, you know, if you go into a race and you choose a strategy and you say, I stick to this, if you're watching the other racers, sometimes you call audibles, and I feel like Meddadog in the beginning there called an audible when he saw Elminster, you know, start to break forward, and, you know, it was a gamble that he chose to take, and it didn't work, and, you know, here we are. But sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Elminster getting to G4, looking for a at this point sub 50 time is definitely possible.
So assuming everything goes well, he's going to be close to his PB. I don't think he's on PB pace, but anything close to PB is always good in a race setting. Race setting usually puts more pressure on people, so if you can stay close to your PB or actually PB in a race, that's a good telling of how you can deal with that. Meddadog with a clean bomb chorizo in the beginning here. Do you have the schedule up in front of you? Who is the? We've got 2 races remaining tonight, I believe, right? Who are they against?
Yep. So as soon as this race ends, we're actually going to be, or maybe even a little bit before, we're going to have to switch over for Kip versus Emmett right here on Speed Gaming 2, and then right after that race, we're going to have J-Ro versus Sarengas. And then I believe that's all for today, but we do have quite a few runs lined up for the next 2 days.
All right, so Elminster coming into Baby Metroid room. Is that actually what it's called? I just made that up. I'm assuming. It seems pretty obvious.
It's actually called the Big Boy Room.
No.
Yeah,
no.
It's called the Big Boy Room.
No. I refuse. No. And Elminster getting hit there from a race perspective does not matter, but Meddadog making his way over into that first super missile, or the first sequence break in this game.
This takes me back, PGA, to the I wonder who named these things, because who decided that that room should be called the big boy room?
Yeah. I can certainly, I'm going to go on record and say I had nothing to do with that. So, just throwing that out there to the community. Don't look at me. Don't agree with it. All right, Elminster about to hit Zebetite Glitch. Nails it first try. Beautiful. Makes his way over to Mother Brain 1. Meddadog picking up that charge beam. Dispatching Mother Brain 1 with ease, about to go into Mother Brain 2. He's got that extra tank. He should be okay. Pressure should be off him if he's watching the stream, if he's watching the race. All he's got to do is be mindful of his shots here and avoid that catch-up. Meddadog getting across that new bridge as he works his way down Red Tower over to Crate again. Elminster a little hungry, taking those onion rings to the face. That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta Joey Chestnut things. Avoiding that catch-up, though. Perfect. Meddadog just calling the audible, trying to do new route. This is completely not something that he's practiced. I know that for a fact. Elminster successfully beating Mother Brain 2. He's going to be in good shape here.
We've discussed this before, but generally at this point in the run, there's very little risk of death. There are plenty of ways you can lose time, but once you get through Mother Brain 2, the risk of death is pretty low unless your name is Syrium.
All right, so Meta having some trouble here trying to get up. I honestly, to my knowledge, I don't think he's practiced this at all. So even if he gets this, I don't know if he has the ability or has practiced getting across the moat here. So it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do. My thought process was that he was trying to make sure that he didn't take a forfeit, didn't take that 3-hour time. But doing this, especially if he hasn't practiced it, it seems like he makes it up. I'm not sure. He's probably doing this for the people. That's always been my philosophy. If you can't beat him, try and be the Rock. Try and be the people's champion. So I think that's what he's trying to do here.
Well, and it's worth noting, if he hasn't practiced it, he may not, if he hasn't done GT Classic or New Route or Low Percent, he may not actually be aware of the visual cue on that wall for where you need to be jumping from to actually make it in the hole. When you have high jump, you have to jump from a lower position than if you don't. So trying to do New Route, you generally need to jump from a higher spot on the wall to actually make it into the hole there to get on into the Hellway.
So being able to make that transition on the fly is actually pretty admirable as he picks up power bombs. Elminster here opting to go with the non-lag strat as he is dispatching Mother Brain here relatively quickly without having to worry about anything. That was very, very clean.
With an absolutely beautiful Mother Brain 3 fight, Elminster getting ready to make his way through the escape and on the way to complete the blow-up Zebus percent category.
As he makes his way to obviously go save the animals.
Saving the animals, you and I both know, would be the objectively wrong decision.
Is it though? Because if you save the animals, then we get more commercials by Sarah McLachlan, and I'm not down with that. So you know what? It's like the lesser of two evils, right?
I mean, but the frames you lose, so you're saving 5 animals, and the frames you lose, I believe, are in the thousands. So it's really just not worth it.
But have you seen those commercials? Because I feel like they're worth it.
They're tear-jerking.
Elminster going with the normal spark up, skipping that B-heat spark as Meddadog makes it over into the moat. I don't think he's got a plan from here. Like I said, I don't think he's practiced this. Getting across this is going to be a feat in itself.
Yeah, so there's 2 ways to cross here. You can do the continuous wall jump, or CWJ, which is a I believe it's a 1-frame jump into a 2-frame wall jump. Elminster finishing with an official SRL time of 49 minutes and 40 seconds. Congratulations to Elminster on the win.
Well done. Meta going for the bombs here as opposed to that CWJ.
Yeah, the horizontal bomb jump is less precise.
Oh, it looks like officially Meta has forfeited the race here.
That will be a 3-hour official time for Meta then.
Yes.
It was unfortunate to see Meta die at Ridley. I mean, that was a really impressive run up to that point.
It was. He had done something that he doesn't normally do in his runs by skipping that tank, so he had one less energy tank, and he was extremely close to finishing that Ridley tank. Like I said, I think Ridley was right about ready to pick him up, and it just didn't happen right away, and he just got hit by the tail. So he was frames away from just being okay there. But that's what happens with gambles. You win some, you lose some. Regardless, great runs by both of these runners here. Congratulations to Elminster on the win there.
Hi, thank you.
Oh, we've got everyone in here, right? Okay, so we're probably gonna have to move pretty quickly here. I know we've got a race probably in like a minute, but Meta, what was the thought process behind trying to skip that crate tank? Were you watching? Did you see that Elminster was ahead and you thought that you had to make some time up?
I knew that I had to make time up. There ain't no chance I was beating him, and unfortunately, hyper competitive me is like the best chance that I have to take. Like I knew I needed something.
Okay.
So
no, I totally understand. Well, we've talked about how you kind of have to change things on the fly, especially if you're actually watching the race. Elminster, did you have the race on in the background? Were you aware of what was going on?
No, I checked the chat like every 15 minutes, so I knew that he died.
Okay. All right.
But that was it.
I think you're actually one of the first runners that did not have it really on in the background. So did that, once you knew that, did that change anything in your run towards the end? Or did you, I mean, at that point, were you just like, I'm just going to coast?
Well, like, okay, so the thing for me is I have a huge history of throwing SM tournament matches of vanilla and not randomizer. Just dying in dumb ways. So I was like, okay, all I need to do is not run out of ammo in Turian, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
All right, so I know the organizers are going to want to get going because we do have another match here, guys. Congratulations, Elminster, congratulations on the win. Meta, I know that's not how you wanted to go out, but there are still a couple of matches in your group, so certainly nobody's out of it right now.
I never expected to advance anyways, so as long as I put my best foot forward, that's all that matters, and I'm entertaining.
That's all right, guys. We are going to turn the mics over and turn the races over right now. Stay tuned because you're going to have some quality content here. So I am PJ Mexican. I am signing off. Mr. J Giggles was my co-commentator here. As always, it's been our pleasure to give you this. Stick around because you're going to have another race. Meta, Elminster, thank you so much for an entertaining race. Elminster, thank you. Congratulations, and we'll see you again soon, guys. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Later, guys.